Hello and welcome back or welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking, I really appreciate it. For those of you that don't know, my name is Lottie and today I'm going to be sharing with you 4 tips and 1 law to help you improve your work-life balance. I understand that work-life balance is something that so many of us struggle to find, and from personal experience I know it can be really difficult to achieve. But hopefully if you apply these 4 tips and this 1 law to your life, even just for a day, you will notice a drastic improvement. Before trying to improve our work-life balance, it's really important to understand why we as humans struggle to find work-life balance. And I like to imagine it as a farm with lots of plots of land. So view your life as this farm. If you're only watering one plot of land, then all the others are going to suffer and you're only going to see growth in one area. If you try and water them all equally and above and beyond, eventually you're going to run out of water and you'll have no plots of land left. If you don't water any of them, of course your farm will suffer and you won't have any growth anywhere. So keep that in mind and now think of how many people value the products of a farm. If your farm suffers, if your crops suffer, then the people who rely on your produce will also suffer. Whether this be family, friends or colleagues, if you're struggling to find work-life balance, then your resources are going to be depleted. So this includes your productivity, your time management and your compassion. And it is completely a selfless thing to do, to take care of you so that you can take care of those people that are around you. It's important when considering the term balance that we don't imagine a scale with an equal weight on either side, but instead we look at it as something that should be equitable. So imagine your farm with the different plots of land with the different crops. Some crops will require more water and more nutrition at different times of the year. And this is just like your life. Sometimes you'll require more rest and other times you'll be doing more work. So don't always try and pressure yourselves to have a perfect 50-50 balance. Sometimes it might be 60-40, 70-30, and that's okay because although we need to be as productive as possible by trying to maintain 50-50, it's completely unrealistic expectation of ourselves and there's no point having that added extra pressure. So now that we have this analogy of our lives as plots on a farm, we need to consider and really ask ourselves, why is it so difficult to find balance? Why are we unable to produce growth in all areas of our farm in equitable amounts and so that we feel satisfied? Too often, I believe this comes down to FOMO and inadequacy. Far too often we spend looking at other people's farms and trying to take bits from each one of them without ever actually concentrating on our farm, our strengths and our weaknesses, and working on those. As I said, FOMO, which is fear of missing out, you see other people flourishing in areas that you want to feel as well, so you try and grab at those. Meanwhile, you're disregarding your own priorities and the things that you love and trying to incorporate the things that they love and the things that they're successful in. As for inadequacy, it's so easy to look at others who may be flourishing in areas of life that we aren't and to feel unsuccessful as a result of that. This is such a skewed way of looking at it because at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all so prone to comparison that those people that you're looking up to probably feel exactly the same way about others around them. Just because they're successful in one area doesn't mean that you aren't, so keep track of your successes and try not to see others' successes as your failures. With that being said, and recognizing and acknowledging that fault, you're now on a much better path to achieving a happy and healthy work-life balance. This leads us really nicely into tip number 1, realizing that you are a human, not a robot, and that you need balance in order to be successful in yourself and for those around you. Even just acknowledging that we're not meant to be robots that function perfectly all the time can really help to relieve some of that pressure that we put on ourselves, that others may put on us, and that social media puts on us. To have this perception of perfection is such a skewed way of looking at the world because what success and perfection means to you is completely different to everyone else. Moving on to tip number 2, find out what work-life balance means to you. So I think the best way of doing this is to split your life up into work and into life and then have categories within those. So I like to have 3 categories in work, which is studying, personal development and financial development, and 3 categories in life, which is health, relationships and creativity. I then like to break these down further into things that I need to do every day, a couple of times a week or occasionally. So in my work column, I have studying, which is the thing that I need to do every day. I have my personal development, which is this channel or doing talks about the medical application process. That's something I'll do a couple of times a week. And then I have financial development, which is a part-time job or a mentorship program. And then in my life column, I have relationships, which is with my friends and family, and they're things that I need to maintain every day. Then I have my health column, which is the gym, yoga, meditation, which are things that I like to do a couple of times a week. And then I have my creativity, which for me personally is writing stories or poems, and that's something that I need to do occasionally. Those of us that struggle with work-life balance, veering on the side of work, I know it can be really difficult to narrow down the 3 things in your life that you need in order to feel balanced. And this is described really nicely in the book Wake Up to the Joy of You, where the author describes the thing that you need to feel in control of your life as a linchpin. So that's the part of a wheel that goes in the middle and allows it to stay together and keep on moving. So for me personally, this is writing, which is something that I need to do maybe every month, every other month, just to feel at one with myself and like I still have control over my life. And I know people have different ones of these, and it's so important that you find your linchpin so that you can keep up with this and really feel like you've nailed that balance. Once you've figured out your 3 work and your 3 balance, you can move on to tip number 3, honoring the time that you give to the things you're passionate about. Naturally, we will give time to the things that we want to do and the things that we love doing. And so this can actually be a way that will help you work out your 3 things that fit into your balance column, because they're the things that you will want to do. Far too often, people try to combine their work and balance together into one, and that's what can make us feel like we have no balance at all. Because if you're trying to study and you're watching Netflix at the same time, or you're messaging your friends, you're going to feel like you've had no break, and you're also going to feel like you've got no work done. To manage this, it may be helpful to download apps that stop you from getting distracted by blocking off your social media whilst you're doing work, and then to do the things that you enjoy in a different room to where you would usually study, just to create a real mental barrier that when you're working, and when you're relaxing, you're relaxing. When honouring the time that you dedicate to these things, it can be really helpful to understand how your body clock works and realise that everyone has 24 hours in their day, but the way you use those hours are completely individual to you. So if you're not a morning person, don't try and be really productive in the morning. If you're an evening person, be productive in the evening, that's fine. Don't constantly be stuck on this whole idea that you can only be productive if you're a morning person, because that's completely unrealistic and we're all very different. So if you know that you want to relax all morning, then go ahead and do that if you know you're going to work in the evening. If you're really struggling to relax, or if you're really struggling to get your work done, set small goals within each of those 3 columns. So for example, when I was struggling to fit in exercise into my routine, I started doing an 8-week program, and that gave me something to work towards and made me feel like I was being productive whilst I was enjoying myself. And it's so easy to say that it's a bad idea to have to feel productive even when you're relaxing, but if you're constantly having that drive and need to feel like you're doing something productive for yourself, then it's better to just satisfy yourself with that feeling, and you can work on becoming present in the moment in a later time. And now for the 4th and final tip, getting back to basics. Ensure that the core elements of your healthy, balanced lifestyle are achieved. So these include sleeping, hydration, and eating well. And actually, a really good way of doing this is to have a background with a few pictures. Maybe go on Pinterest, find some pictures of eating, drinking, all those things, and just put them as your background on your laptop or your phone or iPad or whatever, just so every time you see it, you're reminding yourself, oh, I need to get an early night, or I need to have another glass of water. And what can actually be super nice, and I'm going to make an upcoming video on this, about using your vision board to celebrate small successes by replacing the pictures that you've used with pictures that you've taken. And that can be such a nice way of seeing visually that you're improving. Although I did say 4th and final tip, this video does not end here, as in order to really achieve work-life balance, it's important that we consider Parkinson's law. So Parkinson's law states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. And this applies to every part of life. So it's essentially saying that the longer we give to do something, the more time it will take us to do that thing. So putting this into context, imagine you say to yourself one day, I'm going to give myself exactly 2 hours to do a bit of research that I need to do for a project. The chances are that in that time you will get as much research done as if you were to say, I'm going to spend the next week doing that research. Parkinson's law has been statistically proven to be correct in lots of areas of life, in the workplace and in people's personal lives, and it's something that's really good to just keep in mind when you're carrying out the 4 tips to improving your work-life balance, as ultimately it shows the importance of scheduling and scheduling in time both for your work and for your life. To summarize, the 4 tips to improve your work-life balance were: realize that you're human, work out what work-life balance means to you, honor the time that you give to your work and to your life, and get back to basics. Ensure those core elements are all intact so that you're ready to improve your work-life balance and live a much happier and healthy life. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this video. Please leave a like and comment if you did, and share this to anyone who you think may find this helpful. Thank you again and have a lovely day.